Good day to members of the media and the listening public. Following the November 3rd speech from the throne, the Ministry of Economy and Labor remains committed to the plans and initiatives that will continue to serve the people of Bermuda. I am happy to share the ministry's priorities over the upcoming parliamentary session. The public will recall the Ministry of Economy and Labor releasing the position paper addressing the challenges of an aging population in Bermuda in September 2022. This document outlined the government's position on the demographic challenges of an aging population. It highlighted current statistics showing that Bermuda's total population and demographic profile are working against our economy. Data analysis from the 2016 to 2026 population projections highlighted the reality of Bermuda's declining birth rate. The steady decline of our population is negatively impacting Bermuda's economic performance. At the current rate of decline, Bermuda's working population will not be able to sustain the current economy. Therefore, we must address this challenge through a targeted effort to retain our existing workforce and residential population while attracting new residents. In line with the 2024 speech from the throne and the Economic Development Strategy, to address this challenge, the Ministry of Economy and Labor will seek to provide benefits to businesses that retain able-bodied, capable workers beyond the age of 65. The ministry will also commission research to understand better what motivates Bermudians to leave and what might entice them to return. Once completed, and with the information in hand, the ministry will make an aggressive and targeted effort to encourage Bermudians studying or living abroad to return home to reside and work. This will ultimately support our economy. To help retain current work permit holders residing in Bermuda, the legislature will also consider amending the Bermuda Immigration and Protection Act 1956. A policy paper on this initiative will be released for public consultation. The speech from the throne also states that a cross-functional partnership between the Ministry of Economy and Labor and the Ministry of National Security will strengthen Department of Immigration's compliance section. Plans are underway to form a task force of mid to senior level officers from the Bermuda Police Service with strong investigative and interviewing skills alongside senior inspectors from the Department of Immigration. Rather than the sole reliance upon public to report breaches, the task force will be commissioned to visit employment sites to address worker status and address complaints and potential violations against the Act. The speech from the throne states that executing the government's economic development strategy and the continued delivery of the economic recovery plan has laid the foundation for economic growth. Capital investment is critical to grow Bermuda's economic assets. Attracting investment across multiple sectors creates a more diverse economy, increasing economic resilience and employment opportunities. We must create an environment in Bermuda that strengthens our ability to compete and attract investment. We must be able to attract external investors and enable continued investment by those businesses already domiciled on the island. To accomplish this, the Bermuda Business Development Agency will pivot toward an investment promotion agency, attracting new businesses to Bermuda, which has become a critical part of the overall strategy. The Business Development Agency will continue its focus on attracting businesses in the areas of asset management, climate risk finance, high net worth services, infrastructure, insurance and risk, and technology to Bermuda, providing a means for new job creation and increased tax revenue, greater levels of competition, new products and services, and economic expansion. From increasing Bermuda's working population, enhancing our ability to address employment violations, the continued execution of government's economic development strategy, and the delivery of the economic recovery plan, these initiatives will serve as a platform to achieve the government's economic aims as we continue to work to serve the people of Bermuda and create a sustainable economy for all. Thank you. I'll now pass it over to Minister Furbert.
Hayward. Good morning, everyone, members of the media and members of the public. Today, I'm pleased to provide the details and essential components of the Ministry of Transport's Throne Speed initiatives announced last Friday, 3rd of November. These initiatives notably include the introduction of a digital fare media system and the continuation of the harmonization and modernization of public service vehicle industry. Let me first provide you with an overview of the digital fare media system we are set to implement. This cutting-edge system will replace traditional paper tickets with the modern contactless methods such as smart cards and mobile applications. The core of this transformation lies in the leveraging technology to simplify the process of using public transportation and making it more accessible and user-friendly for all. The digital fare media system will streamline the payment process, reducing boarding times and enhancing the overall efficiency of our public transportation services. This, in turn, will contribute to a more punctual and reliable transit system by adopting a digital payment system. We are poised to see a significant improvement in revenue collection. The transparency and traceability of digital transactions will minimize the chance of revenue leak, ensuring that every dollar rightfully contributes to the development of our transport infrastructure. Going digital means a reduction in paper usage and consequently a positive impact on our environment. This aligns with our commitment to sustainable practices and environmental conservation and contributing to a cleaner, greener Bermuda. The people of Bermuda and our visitors will experience the ease of seamless travel without the hassle of carrying physical tickets or exact change. The digital fare media system allows for cashless transactions, enabling commuters to pay for their rides using smart cards or mobile apps, making public transportation more accessible to all. The implementation of this system will empower commuters with real-time information on routes, schedules, and service updates by way of a GPS system. This ensures that the people of Bermuda and visitors can plan their journeys more efficiently, reduce waiting time, and uncertainties. The digital fare media is designed to be inclusive, catering to people of all ages and backgrounds. We are committed to ensuring that technology does not create barriers, but rather acts as a tool to unite and simplify the lives of our people and, of course, visitors alike. This is not just a technological upgrade. It is a commitment to the future of transportation in Bermuda. As we embrace innovation, we are laying the foundation for a more efficient, sustainable, and a people-centered public transportation system that will benefit us all. Over the past years, the Ministry of Transport has been steadfast and dedicated to harmonization and modernization of the public service vehicle industry. The persistent challenges within the industry have endured for numerous years. It is imperative to synchronize Bermuda's transportation system with current standards and best practices. This commitment of change is rooted in the pursuit of a more efficient, accessible, and forward-looking transportation system that will undoubtedly enhance the lives of our residents and visitors as well. Immediately upon my appointment as the Minister of Transport, I engaged the taxi industry by meeting with various stakeholders, including individual taxi owners. We discussed the long outstanding topic of taxi rates and the relevant increases. Deliberations have followed many times, and it is the intent to finally address this matter. The outstanding issue now demands immediate action and attention, and decisive action will be taken. Let me make two things abundantly clear. Firstly, the proposed changes are not designed, and I emphasize, is not to design to devalue permits or devalue any public service vehicle business model. The value of a public service vehicle or business is contingent upon the forces of the free market and influenced by economic indicators at the time of a purchase or a sale. Secondly, the objective for the taxi rates is to have an increase before the season begins, that is next year. The goal of harmonization is not a solitary endeavor. It requires collaboration. We have actively engaged with industry stakeholders and relevant associations to garner insight and perspectives. Through open dialogue and cooperative efforts, we are fostering an environment where all parties contribute to the development of policies that serve the best interests of the public. Modernization is not merely about embracing technology. It is about making transportation more accessible and user-friendly. This inclusivity-driven approach is designed to improve the overall experience for individuals with diverse needs and preferences. A robust and modern transportation system is integral to economic prosperity. By fostering a conducive environment for the public service vehicle industry, we anticipate increased economic activity, job creation, and improved visitor experiences. This in turn will have a positive ripple effect on the livelihoods of our people. Through all of the initiatives just mentioned, we are not only addressing immediate challenges, but also laying the groundwork for a sustainable and technological advanced future. Together, let us embrace this transformation journey towards a better, connected, and more prosperous Bermuda. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Furbert and Minister Hayward. We now welcome questions from the media.
Good afternoon, Ministers. It's Jeremy Deacon from the Royal Gazette. Minister Hayward, if I could start with you first. I was interested when I read the throne speech about this initiative aimed at keeping people aged 65 and over at work. And you mentioned, and the throne speech mentioned, the benefits to employers. What will those benefits be?
And so we're still mulling over what we will land on as it pertains to benefits, but the most enticing benefits would be some sort of tax incentive, maybe a decline in payroll tax for persons working over the age of 65, and we'll discuss other benefits. But certainly what we want to do is we want to have a package in place that actually entices business owners to retain persons beyond the age of 65. We made a phenomenal first step with retaining public servants beyond the age of 65. Some industries do not have an age limit for employment, such as the hotel industry, but many employees sign off to retire at the age of 65 when they engage in their employment contracts. And so we are, as best as possible, want to encourage employers to reconsider letting persons go at the age of 65.
You say your overall aim, we know, is to create jobs
Mm-hmm.
and the working population, I think about 8,000 you've said in the past. Is there a potential that if you keep somebody on over the age of 65, you're actually going to stop creating jobs? The job that 65-year-old had won't be available. You're not going to create a position where people are moving up and people can come in at the bottom, notably, say, young people. Is that a risk here?
No, not at all. Based off of the demographic makeup of our economy, there will be and continue to be more jobs in our economy than able-bodied Bermudians. And as a result of that, there will be a need to fill the labor force with expatriate labor on an ongoing basis. We did explore this when we were looking at the initial report to increase the retirement age. And what we found is there was no one-to-one relationship. So it's not like an old person exits the workforce and a young person enters the workforce in that particular position. The economy simply and the job market simply doesn't work like that.
Okay.
And so that is not a realistic risk.
Are government employees going to be included in this, or is it just the private sector?
So government employees are currently included. So they get to stay to the age of 68 government employees.
But you won't be giving yourself incentives, is what I mean.
Well, the government doesn't pay payroll tax to itself, so that would be less of an incentive. But retaining public servants is something that we have made a step in that direction to do, and we would like that to happen in other industrial sections within the economy.
Is part of this also perhaps a nod towards the problems with the pensions, the state of the pension fund? This will certainly help that, won't it? Delay paying pensions.
Deferred benefits, yeah, will certainly help. And we are doing some work as it pertains to the sustainability of the pension plans. And so whatever we do would have to work hand in hand. So for example, let's say if you increase the age in which one receives a pension, you can't have that person exiting the workforce at 65 and then the benefit begins at 68. We don't want to create a gap in social protections. So all of these policies can be intertwined.
On immigration, a lot of focus in the throne speech was about digitisation, and part of what you want to do is to digitise the immigration process. Can you just go into a bit more detail about what that actually means, for the user?
It means that persons can go online, they can fill out a form online, submit that form online, and be able to track that form through a process.
Right.
And
so
get
no more queuing at government offices.
Correct, and get a digitized response back.
And has that started, or is it when do you think it will start?
So you will know we began a digitized process in the Department of Immigration. The outcomes of that particular process I wasn't quite pleased with. And so now we're going back through the drawing board, and we are currently having meaningful discussions in terms of putting out our RFP to get a vendor on board that can lead us through that particular process.
Is there a timeline, do you think, roughly?
We want to have it completed within this 12-month period.
The BPSU, who obviously you're very familiar with, put out a statement yesterday covering a lot of ground. One of it says, and he spoke to digitalisation, and he said to avoid redundancies resulting from digitalisation, government must also allow transfers to other roles where appropriate. Is this something you'll be looking at?
So certainly we are not looking to displace staff, but we are looking to create operational efficiencies and improve service delivery.
So there'll be no redundancies?
No.
Two more questions, if I may. I don't want to hog the limelight completely. The Economic Development Agency, can you just tell me what an investment promotion agency does? I've never come across one before.
So most countries have investment promotion agency. What we had is a business development agency and was kind of events orientated. Investment promotion agency kind of looks at investment opportunities. It looks at potential investors and creates that bridge in a deliberate manner. And they will have a more focused strategy as to how they connect investment opportunities with potential investors.
I mean, previously, I think the throne speech said it will pivot from a marketing stroke development agency. Will that role disappear altogether now, or will somebody else pick that up? Because I'd imagine that's still important.
It will become lesser of a priority for the BDA, but it will certainly still retain marketing promotion. If you look at the economic development strategy, marketing Bermuda as a jurisdiction is still a key strategic initiative.
All right, Minister, and final question. The task force, why did that come about? What prompted that?
We put out an immigration reform strategy. One of the areas in the immigration reform strategy was strengthening compliance. And so we determined that we needed to strengthen compliance, but we also realized that the Department of Immigration didn't solely have the manpower required to strengthen our compliance functions. We looked at where we can leverage the skills and expertise of other ministries, and the Ministry of National Security was a ministry that has the skill and expertise that we require to execute on our objectives.
So any idea how many people will be in this task force?
We were looking at 2 to 4 additional police officers, but then we also have immigration officers who are responsible for compliance as well, full-time officers.
Sorry, Minister Furbert, if...
I'm just wondering whether it's best for
Yeah, sure.
just do it.
Okay.
One of the at the same time. Okay.
Stay on him. Good afternoon, Minister. Gary Foster Skelton, Bermuda Broadcasting. So, pardon me, let's get back. So, in this session, according to the Throne speech, we're told the legislature will consider amendments to the Bermuda Immigration Protection Act, and those are the measures that were outlined in the economic development strategy. So, page 59 of the strategy, so we're looking at eligibility requirements for individuals to obtain permanent residence certificates, amend income criteria for spouses of work permit holders to reside and seek employment. Those are just a couple of them on here. Are there specific ones on this list that you are aiming to put into action this year?
So the changes for the PRC, we will release a full position paper. At the end of the consultation for that position paper, we will move forward with legislative changes in this parliamentary session.
In this parliamentary session.
Correct. Reforming the work permit policy, which includes amendments to the spouse category, that will be revised in this parliamentary session as well.
Okay, so any of the other things on here? Obviously, digitisation of immigration will automate the work permit applications. What about the review and revise restricted occupational categories? Will that happen in this parliamentary session?
Yes, that is actually done on a quarterly basis. And so the Immigration Board has now been tasked with providing strategic recommendations on how that list changed. And based on those recommendations, the minister will consider those recommendations to determine whether there should be changes to the list of closed and restricted job categories.
Okay. So, apologies. The Premier has emphasised, and deferred also to you in some ways, about the increase in the working population. We need to create more jobs on Ireland to achieve that. And where are those jobs going to come from?
So the economic development strategy is specifically designed to increase economic activity in a number of industrial categories. International business being one, accommodation and food services being another. We have huge upside to increase the job categories in agriculture and fisheries. There is upside in terms of the amount of development that we would like to see in Bermuda, increasing in the construction industry as well. In terms of tech jobs, we are positioning ourselves to have a better tech ecosystem, and we're looking to have more jobs in the technology sector as well. And so we're looking at across the board robust growth. We're looking at attracting more family offices to Bermuda and having those family office staff domiciled in Bermuda. We are also looking to regain some of our market position in fund administration and have some of those fund management companies move to Bermuda as well.
So this is what we're looking at, but how will we be tracking these stats? When obviously we don't get the quarterly statistics anymore that are officially released. How are we going to track these stats? We say every 3 months, okay, we've got 3 more jobs in this area, 5, 10, 50. How are we going to be tracking this?
So the employment numbers by industry are put out on an annual basis. And so we'll be able to track on an annual basis. However, we've been running, we will run 2 labor force surveys a year, which will let us know how we're trending as it pertains to job growth in Bermuda. And so specifically, we will know by industry the increase in jobs by the employment survey that's done annually, and we will know how we're trending by utilizing the labor force surveys. Additional to that, we can determine job growth by the amount of persons who are paying payroll tax on an ongoing basis. And so there are ways in which we can track the performance of job growth in Bermuda.
So when this is such a serious issue, as you said yourself, eventually our economy is not going to be able to support itself. Annual or 6 months, isn't that something that should be more regular? So that the population gets an idea, so this is how many payroll receipts have been in this last 3 months or this last 2 months. So Bermuda can really see what's happening.
And so when I do put out the quarterly economic updates, I do talk about some of those other supporting economic indicators. And so that's something I can include in my regular quarterly economic update numbers in terms of, I do employment compensation, but I can also look at the payroll tax data for the quarter as well and share that with the population.
Oh, you're saying you're going to add, you could add that to your...
Oh, most definitely, yes.
Great. We'll look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I was looking at was earlier this year, based on the Anchor Economic Update, which saw that the employment income in the IB sector had risen 21.7% for over 2020 through 2022, but employment income outside IB had fallen 1.8%. And IB also represented more than half of the increase in jobs last year, of the more than 400 jobs last year. Most of them were in IB, just over half, even though the sector represents about a sixth of all overall jobs in Bermuda. In his interview with Jasmine Patterson last week, the Premier said, we're seeing more jobs created for Bermudians than non-Bermudians, especially in international business. Now, where are those statistics?
So we've put out this statistics, and I'm happy to share it with you. I think in another press conference, I actually stated that the data that Inca was actually using wasn't the most recent data, and I've put out quality data in terms of employee compensation, which shows that there have been increases in employment compensation in a number of industrial sections outside of international business. And I'll be happy to share that.
And that's in this economic year?
Correct. And so that would have been when I put out the first quarter data.
Okay, thank you.
I'll reiterate that when I put out the second quarter data. There was a delay in the second quarter data based off of the cyber incident, but I'll have that information out shortly.
I have one more. And one of the criticisms that's been levied at government figures, particularly the inflation numbers, is because our household expenditure data is 10 years out of date. If our economy is growing by 5%, but cost of living is 10% higher, it's got to be measured against each other. When are we going to get that household expenditure survey?
The household expenditure survey is due to commence shortly. It was supposed to commence last month. We had to delay it based off of the challenges we had with the cyber attack, but that new household expenditure survey will be conducted shortly.
And be conducted, when will we see those figures released?
I think it's going to take a lag time to get the data released, but as soon as we can get preliminary data out there, we will publish it.
Okay. Thank you, Minister.
We'd like to have Minister Furbert and then have Lizette coming back.
Minister Furbert, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. First of all, welcome back as a reporter.
Thank you very much. I'm enjoying it. You talked about taxes. I believe you said that the fare increase would come into effect before the summer season next year. Why wait so long? Why not now?
So the whole approach to this is to try to find, we're working on harmonization and modernization. So we're looking at the whole package. And so why do we do that? The purpose of looking at that is because what we do on the harmonization and modernization may have a major impact on how we want to look at the rate increase. So we say a certain rate right now, and once we finish our package on harmonization and modernization, we may say, oops, we should have been higher, for instance. So we want to make sure that we get the right numbers as we want to do. We want.
So although there's been a decision on a fare increase, you've no idea yet what it's going to be?
The ministry is looking closely at what we want to do, but like I said, we want to present a whole package to my cabinet colleagues, and so no final decision has been made yet.
Because the taxi industry want 20%. Do you think it could be near that?
We'll see.
On the electronic payment for buses, I think, as far as I can tell, This was first mentioned when the BTA put out, I think, an RFQ or an RFP, I'm not sure, in 2018. Why is it taking so long to get to where we are now?
I've been here for 11 months, and I've been working on that, and we'll make sure that it happens under this
But
ministry.
you've been in cabinet longer than 11 months. You must know what's been going on in the past. Why is it taking so long?
I really can't answer that question, but we're working on it. We're to a point right now. We've got the actual vendor that we want to work with, and a final decision will be made soon.
So
And hopefully have that done probably within 6 to 8 months,
So when am I going to get on the bus and pay with my phone?
as soon as we get completed,
You ever got a timeline?
somewhere between 6 and 8 months.
Now, underpinning all this, of course, you've got GPS. You're going to say, so I can see when the bus is coming,
Yes.
etc., etc. But we're still seeing lots of cancellations. Until you get that sorted, this isn't really going to work.
Yeah,
is
when
it?
is the last time you saw cancellation?
I said still seeing. I didn't say there have been, but there are still cancellations.
So there has been cancellation in the past.
Yeah.
So I asked you a question. When was the last time you saw a cancellation?
I haven't looked, to be honest, Minister,
That's
but
my
I know
point.
there have been
So there hasn't, now that we've
cancellations.
got the full package of the electric vehicles on board, 2022, remember we was working with diesel buses, some of them was breaking down, so we had cancellation.
So no
Now
cancellations?
that we've hit the 23, we've had very few cancellations.
So no more cancellations.
We hope, no, we can't promise that will not, because there are still some diesel buses within the fleet. But we have 70 electric vehicles on board. Our transformer is on island. We'll be generating, I think, about 20 be able to, what's the word I'm using? Boost the charging the at 20 buses at a time. Right now, we're going to do 4. That's one of the reasons why we had some challenges.
All right, Minister, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Gary?
Good afternoon,
I
Minister.
was expecting more from you.
Do you have, for the implementation of the digital fares, do you have any idea of the cost, what it will cost to transition?
You mean the actual cost of the?
The project, the overall project to change the
right now I
system.
just can't recall we have it. I just can't recall what the number.
Can't recall it.
Yeah.
Can we get that
I
number?
can make it soon. Maybe if I get off the stage, I can let you know more.
Okay. And what is the status of solar charging for stations for the bus depot to essentially take a lot less from Belco charging the electric buses than solar?
As you're aware, that the government is doing some solos around the different buildings, and the depot up in Devonshire is also one of the facilities that we'll be looking at.
Okay. But you don't know when that will happen yet? It's not is it on a schedule yet?
I don't think so, but I'll confirm that also with you.
Okay, thank you. And when is the entire bus fleet expected to be electric?
Well, we are tire electric as far as the 70 that we have right now.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we have a few diesel buses still remaining in the fleet, and it's working very properly. Very less cancellation. In fact, the last time I looked at the schedule, there had been no cancellation at that point of time. Whether it has one today or tomorrow, I can't confirm that and put my hand on the Bible and say that we'll not have any further cancellation.
So will there be any more buses coming, or have we got our fleet now?
So we have the fleet that we want. To actually make some further changes in the future, the government will continue to look at that and whether we get 5 more, but we want to make sure that these fleets are kept more modern and up to date.
Okay. I wonder if, pondering on this one, are you looking at electric ferries at all?
Interesting you said that. Yes, we are. Yeah.
And is this initial or initial look, or have you made any avenues?
The Department of Marine and Ports is looking at electric ferries. The question is whether certain things, salt water, whatever it is, I don't know. I'm not a technical person in that regards, but they are looking at how we can transport to that particular technology.
Okay. I may come back to a couple more questions on electric, but I did want to talk about the fare increase for taxis.
Yes, sure.
And one of the representative of the Taxi Driver and Owners Association said they were concerned that government will package the increase as part of a quid pro quo to get taxi drivers to accept rideshare apps being allowed on the island. What is your response to this?
Absolutely not. I've said that over and over again, and I'll make it very clear to every taxi driver, listen to me. There's no quid pro. We're going to give you a rate increase, but we want to make sure that we have a proper modernization, harmonization plan going forward. You cannot build a building until the final cost of that building is known. So once we know the final structure, that's how the rate will also be impacted.
Okay. And what are you doing in preparation for the phasing out of petrol and diesel cars? What's going to be happening?
Yeah, we have a plan that we're working on. As you're aware that the government is looking at making all incoming, make it very clear, incoming cars or vehicles by 2035. As you know, some Bermudians keep their cars for 20 years. I can't stop that. So there will be some diesels still hanging around in 2035. We're not going to say you got to be off the road. That's just impractical. But 2035 is something we're heading towards. But we're also looking at how do we ensure that some electric cars, particularly a size car, starts first. So we're not going to say 2035 is the date. Excuse me. We want to try to move in a pattern and say, well, by a certain time, let's say G car, H was the largest G cars, H classes, they have to be electric by whatever. So we're working on a plan to how do we transform from one to another.
The one thing I would like to touch on is the implementation of going back to the buses and this system for the buses. Also mentioned in the Throne speech is addressing the issue of the unbanked population, and so the parts of the population that do not deal well with the digitization of banks, etc. Do you see there's going to be a bit of a crossover with you trying to implement this system, which may be a little inaccessible to certain parts of the population?
Yeah, I don't know what population you particularly talk about. Let's talk about seniors, though.
It could be seniors, but also it was mentioned there's a portion of the population that is unbanked, and they were going to address that in some of the banking legislation.
Yeah.
And I would say that if some of the population is unbanked, they're probably going to have some degree of problems accessing bus payments if it's all digital.
So one of the questions that seniors may be wondering, how do I make this work? You know, right? I'm going to go and transfer some money. But as you know, seniors do not pay. But what we will do is they have a card. And every senior, one of these days I'll get to that age, and you have a card. So they will have a card which is being given to them by TCD. They'll use that same card and zip on the bus or the ferry, so we can now keep track of how many actual seniors catch our system. But it's all as the card will be given to them directly.
Gary, can we take one more final question? That's it.
Well, then I think one question would be actually on the ferries and outside. The Bermudian ferry was sent to Boston in August 2022 for a scheduled refit. Can you provide an update on the status of that ferry?
That ferry, I believe, is March of next year. March of next year, it should be coming on shore.
So March. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's the final questions. Thank you all for attending and have a great day.
Okay, you're welcome.